start by wiping that dumbass smile off your rosy cheeks.
Alright, well, since we're already here, welcome back to Box Office Maniacs, and today we're going to have a special Thanksgiving movie. That's right, it's a Thanksgiving movie. There's not too many Thanksgiving movies out there, but this one is one of the absolute best, and it's called Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
It's Turkey Day today, and you know how I'm celebrating Turkey Day, Vince?
Doing reviews.
No, I'll be at work all day. So that's my Turkey Day, guys. I'm at work right now.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles came out in 1987, and it's a John Hughes film starring Steve Martin and the late, great, amazing, fantastic John Candy.
Alright, so yeah, there isn't that many, or hardly any, or I think this may be the only one that I know of. Thanksgiving movie. And it's weird they don't make Thanksgiving movies. It's just, or Turkey Day movies, or whatever day, what do you want to call today. It's just kind of strange. I mean, there's a ton of Halloween films, and there's a ton of Christmas movies. There's even Valentine's Day stuff. But when you get to this holiday, not a whole lot out there.
This holiday season, prepare to have the stuffing scared out of you. Thanksgiving.
It's usually because they lump it in with something else, like, you know, it won't necessarily be all about Thanksgiving, and actually neither is this one. It's not completely about Thanksgiving. It's just the fact that Steve Martin is trying to get home for Thanksgiving Day to be with his family.
So what you're saying, Vince, is it's about Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
The table is set. The festivities have begun. One uninvited guest has arrived. And this year, there will be no leftovers.
It'll be something that's completely different from Thanksgiving. Like, for instance, the Rocky films. Some of the Rocky films, Rocky ends up fighting on Thanksgiving Day or Christmas Day.
I know he was chasing a chicken, but I don't think he ever chased a turkey. Maybe in the new Rock he'll be chasing a turkey.
Yes, turkey chasing. We did turkey chasing in the old days.
So this film is by John Hughes, like you said. And now John Hughes was pretty much my childhood growing up. He made all the classic films like The Breakfast Club and Weird Science and
Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Some Kind of Wonderful.
16 Candles he did. There isn't a John Hughes out there now. Because when you go see a John Hughes film, he, tried to capture the youth or, the great comedy of just people, just everyday regular people. And there is no John Hughes anymore.
Yeah, most of his movies have been about teens and youth and all that. This one isn't. This is one of the few that he did that wasn't about that. It was actually real people and adults and, dealing with everyday situations. And that's the whole thing about this film is Steve Martin's character just gets thrown into these weird, odd situations and has to deal with it, and he's basically, for once, playing the straight guy. And, he's just trying to get home and get to his house to have Thanksgiving dinner with his family.
Thanksgiving. You'll come home for the holidays in a body bag. This February.
As far as I know, this is the only John Hughes movie. I could be wrong. It might have been his first movie that was rated R. So this is an actually R-rated film from John Hughes.
The whole reason it got rated R is for one of the stupidest things. I mean, you look at it now, it's pretty stupid because PG-13 movies actually get this bad now. And it's for that one scene where he's comes back to the car rental and he's trying to get his car and he says the F word like a gazillion times.
So, I'm not a real big fan of comedies, and I can tell you, there's probably, I can count on one hand how many comedies I actually like. And usually they're sort of like science fiction comedies or something And this is just a straight up comedy. And I gotta tell you, it's one of the funniest movies I think has ever been made. It's just non-stop. And it's a perfect film too. It's a perfect film for the fact that it never stops. It starts and it never gets boring, and it just comedy throughout the entire thing, and it's good comedy. It's smart, funny comedy, and it's one of those. It's a perfect film. It is. It's perfect from beginning to end, and the entire film is just one amazing ride through the entire thing.
Well, I can say that as much as I love horror films and sci-fi films and action films and adventure films and all of that, I absolutely love comedies. I love to laugh. Even mediocre, stupid comedies, some of those I'll even laugh at, but I love the comedies like this, where it takes from real life and puts them in real life situations, and what do you do? And it's just hilarious. This is one of my favorite holiday films, as well as one of my favorite comedies.
And the thing with John Candy's character in this is he's a person that I think everybody at least once in their life has met or know. He's just a friendly guy. He's just a down-to-earth, friendly guy who just kind of, is down on his luck, but he's still trying to keep, the best of the situation by laughing, and just a super nice guy. And here's Steve Martin, this businessman who doesn't want anything to do with him. And, they clash just like, sort of like the Odd Couple, the two completely different people clashing. And it's a great idea for a story. It's a great story, and it's done so well. And again, John Candy in this film was just amazing in this movie.
Yeah, he is so freaking fantastic in this film. This is definitely one of his best roles ever, next to probably Uncle Buck, and just fantastic film.
Part of this film, a big chunk of this film, takes place in my hometown here in St. Louis. And it was, of course, my favorite parts of the film was that stuff that happened here in St. Louis. Now, I think they got St. Louis pretty well captured in the movie. I mean, this stuff like this happens to me every day. And pretty much any person you walk up to at a counter and you try to be nice to, and everything bad has happened to you that day, which pretty much happens to me every day, and you just want to go off on them, like the scene with the car rental thing.
I want a car right now.
Oh my God, I think it's one of the funniest sequences in movie history. Oh, it's St. Louis. It's absolutely St. Louis, and that is our St. Louis airport that he was in, doing all that, and the outside shots. All of that was St. Louis. It was just, oh man, knocked it out. Perfect representation of this city.
And obviously, I'm from St. Louis, but I don't remember everything about the airport. I only had actually went to the St. Louis airport literally less than a handful of times, and what I remember of it, of course I remember the outside, and so when they show like the outside shots of him running by and you see Lambert Airport there, yeah, I remember that stuff, but when he goes on the inside, I don't remember everything that's there, and I'm sure in 1987 it was a lot different than it is here in 2018.
No, it looks exactly the same. They haven't changed it at all. Exactly the same.
Okay, maybe not.
And what was really funny is, I've driven to Chicago many times. From St. Louis to Chicago, it's a 5-hour drive. Here in the movie, it takes them like 3 days to get to Chicago. It's pretty funny, because if actually a drive, how long it takes to get somewhere, But if you're not familiar with that, it's like all this stuff happens to them, and they're like, "Oh, we're only 2 hours out of St. Louis." I'm like, "What? 2 hours out of St. Louis?" It's just like, it's funny watching something that you know how long it takes to get from one area to another.
They get to Kentucky, and the one guy shows up to drive them.
This is Neil Page from Chicago. Hi. Pleased to meet you both.
And he's talking about his wife. He says,
Oh, no, we've got it. It's very heavy. She don't mind. She's short and skinny, but she's strong. Her first baby come out sideways.
"This is hilarious."
This whole film is like that. It's one great scene. Like I said, it's a perfect film. It never gets slow. It's always entertaining. It's always funny. And it's a perfect film. And it's a perfect holiday film to watch, obviously. But it's just a great film, period. And there's so many great scenes in here, like the car. What happens to their car? Oh, my God. I say that a lot when they're driving down the wrong side of the highway.
What? You're going the wrong way! He said we're going the wrong way!
Oh, he's drunk. How would he know where we're going?
How does he know where we're going?
And this is the first time I ever actually owned it, ever. I guess I've never owned this movie. I've only ever watched it on TV. This is a great transfer. It's really super clear, and it has really great music. There's like a rap song in there with Steve Martin. And, we have a surround sound, and it was just booming. The bass was just booming, all that stuff. And the sound is great, and the picture quality is fantastic. And this thing is only $10 at Best Buy, so you can't go wrong with it.
Yeah, I agree. The picture looks fantastic. It looks amazing. And the sound is amazing. And I was going to say, the soundtrack in this is actually really, really good. And they make a little kind of it's not necessarily a rap song, but I mean, they take samples from the movie and they like replay them, and it's really funny because it's pretty much the same thing where he goes, "You're messing with the wrong guy." I mean, which is what he says in the very beginning of the film, and it's just fantastic. It's just an awesome soundtrack as well as an awesome movie. And John Hughes always does have really good music in his films.
And believe it or not, being that I've never owned this on Blu-ray and I've only ever seen it on TV, I never knew, this was the first time I ever watched this, that I found out that there was something after the credits. Did you know that?
I don't remember if I ever even watched it. After the credits, I don't think I ever watched it.
Because it was just running when we finished watching it, and I came back in, and the credits were going off, and then there was a scene after the credits, and I was like, as many times as I've seen this movie, I never knew there was a scene after the credits. So if you haven't ever watched this after the credits, it's pretty good. Watch it after the credits.
Well, I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again then, because when it was over with for me, I turned it off. When it got to the credits, because I don't ever remember seeing anything after it, so that's why I turned it off. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again.
Overall, this is an amazing film, especially to watch today on Turkey Day. If you're not at work like I am, and if you're home doing nothing, turn it on, watch it, go out and buy it. Go out and buy it today at Best Buy. Go to Black Friday.
So now that we're at the end of this, hopefully, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Well, what else could I give it but the Golden Turkey?
And yes, this does get the Golden Turkey Day bomb. The bomb, Turkey Bomb Day.
Let's watch cat videos. Yeah. Oh.